Some things were kicked off, obviously, 2015, 2016. There was writers in the midst of in the comic book industry that felt that it was their time to start going after fans, customers of the general comic book industry. One name that pops out a lot, or popped out there, is Mark Waid. If you remember, he was in the center of all of the beginning stages of all of this nonsense. I don't know if it was a tweet. It's shown in the article that he does not believe in the basic goodness of his fellow Americans. This is coming off the Kamala losing, and he can't write superheroes.
This was a guy who fired a black woman so that he could hire his current girlfriend at the time, correct?
I believe that was him.
Oh, okay, just asking.
But if you keep going, you'll see that some of the tweets are kind of crazy. Those are some of the initial that popped this thing out. Here we go, right here. And he sent this at 1 a.m. Even
that's a good time to tweet.
Even if by some miracle this turns around, I don't believe in the basic goodness of my fellow Americans anymore. And without this, I cannot write superheroes. There's no point.
That makes no sense. Because let's just say it turned around and Kamala won, and it was a fucking Patriots versus Atlanta. It was 28-3 in the third, and then
came back and won.
Came back and won in overtime, right? Wouldn't that actually give you faith in your fellow Americans by his own logic?
Yeah,
by his own logic, wouldn't that rekindle your faith? But if that did happen, this tweet would have never have
That's also true.
He was drunk.
He says he can't write superheroes, which to me says that this person has no business being in the business. If you look at the history of comics and definitely how these comics were being written during war times, and they were meant to be inspirational, you would think if you saw that, or you thought that the country was in a bad shape, wouldn't that inspire you if nothing else?
Yeah, but
that's just me.
As we've seen over the course of the last 10 odd years, nearly, far leftists can't write heroes because the heroes aren't heroic. They're preachy, self-absorbed narcissists who can't be flawed. Who are constantly right, who must be persistently validated. They can't write complex superheroes. They despise superheroes. They despise Superman, straight white man. So they have to make Jonathan gay. They hate Batman, straight white man with money. They class that as rich, privileged, powerful. He doesn't give his money to the lazy people who think that communism is sitting on your fucking fat ass, wondering what you're going to draw on with your crayons that day. So Batman gets consistently diminished. Tim Drake, popular Robin, but we want more LGBTQIA plus IA, all the so Tim Drake now sucks dick. Aqualad, now let's just make him black and gay, and he's in a relationship with a fat person of zipper tits, or so so they can't do it because their politics overrides their creativity, and their politics overrides their logic, and their politics drives what they think people should be getting. And the very fact that sales have plummeted in the mainstream, the very fact that they're nowhere near where they were, just highlights that they're losing their audiences. Because when you start to write from a divisive political point, regardless of whether or not it's left or the right, when you start to write from a divisive political point, you alienate already approximately half of your audience.
Yes.
And that's so I would argue that we haven't had well-written superheroes for
it's
a
been
decade
a while
in the mainstream, for sure.
It's been a while. Unfortunately, I do appreciate him saying it out loud, because he even says, look, this last sentence is a trip. When you see a decline in the quality of my work, you'll be able to trace it back to this night. So this is the person that is just explicitly stating that they are incapable of doing solid work if the guy that they, or gal in this case, that they support isn't in office or didn't win.
How does that affect anything? How does who's president affect how you write? It doesn't. It doesn't at all.
That's a great question.
It's performative.
But when you are
theater.
ideologically obsessed like they are, they don't know anything else. This is all he knows, right? Unfortunately, I mean, we can trace back Mark Wade. We can talk about the great work that he's done over the years. He's well over the hill there. Okay, he's incapable of doing that. He's telling you that. It's not me like speaking out of phrase here. As if you don't mind,
sure.
Read that. Read the first sentence of what we're looking at. What does that say?
Okay. Even if by some miracle this turns around, I don't believe in the basic goodness of my fellow Americans anymore. And without this, I cannot write superheroes.
Okay. So considering that those last words that you mentioned, what kind of comics do they kind of veer off every now and then? What kind of comics do Marvel and
superhero?
DC? Oh, okay. That's interesting. So this guy works for companies that write predominantly superhero based comics. And he's saying that he can't do that anymore, right? Okay. So I don't know. Logically, it doesn't make sense for him to continue to write for those. That's just me. I'm just putting two and two together. Am I being too
I
rational?
can't do my job anymore.
Yeah. Like, could you imagine, I don't know, working for, buying some stuff from some like Carpenter or something, and he just explicitly say, I can't do this shit anymore? Like, would you continue to like buy from that person? Or
let's say I was the EIC of DC, okay?
Yeah.
I mean, as I am today with all my fucking brashness and Marmite flavoring, if I saw this tweet, I would very happily reply to it saying, "Hi, Mark, is this a resignation? If so, could you put it in writing and place it on my desk?
Yes. Please,
many thanks."
Yes.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Because if somebody did that in my company, that's how I would do it. Or maybe, I mean, if I was actually the EIC, I would phone him up. I wouldn't do it on social media. I'd do it on social media for, because heel versus babyface. But if it was Terrence von Higginbottom, I would just call him up and say, "Hey, Mark, I saw your tweet. Is that a resignation? Is that a resignation? Because if so, can you place it in writing and put it on my desk by tomorrow morning? Thanks."
Appreciate it. But I also think his perspective is going to be representative of pretty much everybody else in comics as well. And that, you're going to see a decline. If you think they can decline any more than they have, you're going to see a decline in their work. And it's because they just can't separate the politics from the work. They just can't.
What's that saying? Separate church from state.
Yeah.
Right?
It's impossible for them.
It is.
That is their God, to be fair. Most definitely. So we'll see what happens with Mark Wade.
Just between you and me. Just between you and me.
Yeah.
Do you think he gives a shit?
No.
No, I don't think he gives a shit.
No, unfortunately. Thanks for watching. Be sure to head over to Rippaverse.com to check out our comic book company. We have books, plenty of merchandise, and even some glorious animations from Rippaverse Studios.